Hello, everyone. My name is Marsha, and I am your mobility wall trainer for today. And first, I want to send out my deepest apologies for the technical issues that we experienced earlier today. I I have the utmost respect for you setting aside your time to watch our live stream. And if you joined us, we had technical issues, got stuck in a feedback loop. And with that being said, I am doing our presentation right now that I wanted you to see earlier and share it with you live. And to let you know that we here at Mobility Wall are committed to customer service and giving you value because you trusted us with your hard-earned purchase of our mobility wall units. And I just want to say again, I am deeply sorry. I may be a health and wellness expert, but technology, like you, experiencing learning curves and pitfalls with that. All right. So with that being said, again, thank you. Here we go. I am going to share with you some great ideas about mobility wall. I love it. I have been in health and wellness and fitness a long time. My background, health education, sports medicine, numerous personal training certifications. I love fitness. I love to move. I'm still an active personal trainer, marathon runner, avid fitness enthusiast, but also like you, probably work a lot at the desk. Okay, with that being said, today what we're really going to focus on, something that gets everybody's attention, is the hip structure. Okay, your hips are so important to you. There's muscles called the glutes. They're called the powerhouse. If you are a runner, a cyclist, a CrossFitter, someone who loves squat day, and you're just full of movement, you know, squats, the hips are vital to your movement because they affect that low back, they affect the knees. If you're not one of those people, you still have your hips, you still use them because you need that support when you're sitting in that good posture at the desk. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. What can mobility wall do for your hips and then into that low back and those knees and overall posture? All right, so if you've gotten a mobility wall, thank you. Thank you. And I hope you can take away a lot of ideas that you can use with your mobility wall. If you're still on the fence about mobility wall, as you can see here, I have got the Pro version that's got those little ridges, nubby features, if you will. Do not let this intimidate you, because the first thing you learned with mobility wall was this. Number one, you are in control. You are. Don't you bet you didn't know that. You know, you've done that foam roll or you lay down, there's no control. Gravity says, I'm pushing your body weight down. Hang on, girl or guy, here we go. Okay. You are in control with your mobility wall. How much pressure do you want to put into the mobility wall? Because it's going to work with you. Okay. Number two, you've got support. You always got support. You know, I've got our YouTube channel and the app on your phone, the website. But this door frame gives you support, because I'm going to show you some exercises and movements. If you didn't have this support, you'd just be going the wrong direction. Okay. As I said, I still do some personal training with clients. Getting down to the floor, not really their jam anymore. And we're all afraid of falling. So mobility wall gets you up off the floor, gives you the support you need. And we're also giving you the education, the ideas to make this a super versatile tool that you will just not put in your fitness toolbox and not use it. As you are aware, mobility wall, we can store it up above in the door frame, so it's visible, but yet you don't forget about it. Okay, so what I've got today here, I've got my mobility wall set up. I'm going to focus on those hips, okay, because we got a lot of back issues, we got knee issues. First thing I want to introduce is a concept called hip hinging. And the reason I'm doing this is so when you go into the mobility wall, you're moving correctly. Our hips need to bend, they need to hinge. So when I stand on one leg and I lift up the other leg, here's where this hip bending occurs. Now that looks relatively easy, but you'd be surprised how quick we lose that hip hinge. I don't want you to lose yours. So stand on one leg, take the other leg, lift it up, and see where that bend happened right there? Put your fingers there and keep them there, okay? I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Stand on one leg, find that hip hinge, okay? Looks about right there. Excellent. I'm going to keep my fingers here. This reminds me where I need to bend, okay? Now, if you think about it, if I put my fingers around my hips like this and think of a bucket of water, I want you to spill the water out of the bucket. How that happens is now, and here's that point where we forget, move your torso, bending at that hip hinge area. Notice that ankle's going to get smaller. Your fingers might even pinch a little bit and then come back up. That's where we want to bend from our hips. If we don't bend at the hips, we can still get work done, but I'm bending from my low back. If I turn this angle, you can see I didn't pinch those fingers at all. Now you can see a little bit even in the camera, my fingers kind of disappear. Yes, that's what I do. Again, keeping the core engaged, protect that low back, but we want to bend from the hips. Now, why this is also important is because when I hip hinge effectively, you might have felt the hamstrings. And so often we hear, I got tight hamstrings, okay? Yep, we got to stretch for mobility wall just for hamstrings. But today we're going to do some integration. That integration is strength with stretching. Because the mobility wall, our slogan is stand up and move, not stand up and stretch, stand up and move, okay? So when we integrate the stretching and the mobility into our workout, guess what? We're going to do it. We're going to be consistent, and we're going to get rid of those trigger points, those hot spots, those sweet spots, right? So back to here, find that hip hinge. That's where I want to bend from, so those hamstrings stop saying hello, all right? All right, so we're going to our mobility wall. To get it adjusted for today's session, I want it to be on the lower part of your glutes. I'm standing straight up, so it's going to be just above this little bony protrusion that we all have on our hips. That bony protrusion is called the greater trochanter. Now, there's nothing we can do with that. We can work the fleshy stuff above it and the fleshy stuff below, okay? So if I return from the side, so it's a little bit lower is where I've got that mobility wall. And the reason being, we're going to roll those glutes, not just a little bit, but a lot of it, all right? If the roller's too high, it's going to get more into the low back, okay? If it's too low, you'll see why it doesn't pay attention as good as what we need, okay? So now, again, if I already hip hinge, if I'm stand straight up, I can start rolling across the mobility wall. You've heard this term, shear force, right? Again, we're cutting across, if you will, those muscle fibers, okay? Now, I am literally standing straight up, shoulders, hips, knees, good posture. I don't feel much here. Now, this is where I'm going back with control. I'm going to take control of this, and I want you to as well. Oh, safety briefing really quick. Make sure you are on the same side of your mobility wall, okay? See my brackets right here? Again, whenever you're using the mobility wall, make sure you and the mobility wall on the same side. So you press into it, you got that extra support, okay? All right, so I'm going to walk out a little bit and lean back into that roller, okay? Now, again, if it's lower, you've seen some of the app videos, you're kind of sitting on it. I'm still leaning back into it. And again, ooh, roll across, yeah. I can do a little bit more. I'm going to walk down a little bit more, make sure it's still on the glute, and I got to roll a little bit side to side, okay? Now, what the camera angle doesn't catch here is this is very similar right now to a wall squat. So if I come over here to the wall, okay? I'm standing straight up, not much is happening. You've probably done this with a stability ball. Shoulders are back. I got my shoulders over my hips, abs engaged. And you can see a little bit of a hip hinge here, okay? Now, I can come up and down, no big deal. We were doing that a little bit on the mobility wall, just to kind of find the sweet spots, hot spots, whatever you want to call them for those glutes. Well, the difference I want to make here is keeping the core engaged, chest lifted, shoulders back. I'm going to lean forward, okay? So here I'm on the wall, and here I'm away from the wall. I built in more that hip hinge. We're going to do this on the mobility wall, and you'll see where this goes in just a moment, okay? All right, I'm coming back to my mobility wall. I'm going to walk out a little bit, just like I did on that wall squat, okay? So my shoulders are back, so I want to find that hip hinge. Abs contracted as I lean forward. Okay, now if I had a second camera, you would start to see that my hips are actually in the door frame already. The wall stopped it, so my hips have gone back a little bit. Ready? There's more. I'm going to push down and into that mobility wall. My hips are, they're through the door frame now. Now guess what? I'm gonna drive through those legs, and I'm gonna roll the mobility wall into my glute and come back up. Woo. I'm gonna do it again. So I need hip hinge. Notice I put my shoulders back, kind of an automatic response. I'm gonna lean forward, and I'm gonna drive those hips back and come back up, push up as I come back in and up pressure. There you go. Whoa, okay. So once again, I'm gonna review. I'm not back here, leaning back. I'm leaning forward. If I were from the side, it kind of looks a little bit like this to kind of give you that visual. All that hip action right here, okay? Now again, I can play with my foot position. Now, if I'm standing too tall, doesn't work that well. I'm gonna walk out a little bit. Here's where I can play with this. What if I walk back a little bit and then walk down? You ever been on a stability ball where you're sitting and then you kind of gotta walk down into that supine incline position? Yeah, you're trying to come out of that trunk curl you were just doing. That's what I'm doing here. I'm pushing those hips back. Remember I said earlier about integration? Your legs. Like, I didn't know it was squat day, right? And come back up. Now, again, how low do you go? We're going to stay with the glutes today. Now, right now, I went a little bit too low. I'm into the lower back. That's not so bad. I don't mind it as much. It's kind of getting the very lower portion of the latissimus dorsi, those muscles that kind of make those back, little wide back muscles. Okay? I'm going to focus just on those glutes. You walk it down and come back up. Again, shoot the hips back. Keep the core engaged, protect that low back. Sound good? All right. So there is our bent over position with more of that squat element. And again, I can stay right here, just rolling along the glute. All right? All right. Now, let's go back to some of that shearing force, side to side a little bit. Okay, glutes are already feeling a little bit different. Okay? People always ask me right away, Marsha, how many reps? How many do I got to do? You always want to give them a number, okay? I say 3 to 5. And I say 3 to 5, that's not a lot. It's not a lot. I don't want you to do a lot. I just want you to do it consistently. That's going to make all the difference. Number 2, it's not about reps. I want you to do 3 to 5 breaths. We've heard some of the other trainers talk about the value of breath, with reducing the fight or flight, the stress response that we're surviving under. We want to be thriving, so just breathe. You ready? Take an inhale here. And guess what? As I exhale, push those hips back down. Inhale, come up again. And exhale, push those hips back. I'm pushing the hips back. I know the knees are going to bend. The knees are not in charge. Your glutes are. Yeah, that's it. Good. And you know what? Look, I breathe way up, way down. You know, you breathe. And if you want to breathe up, inhale the way up, exhale the way down, you do that. If you want to change it, you do that. That's the yoga instructor coming out of me. But just breathe. When you get done, you go, that wasn't so bad. All right, let's move on. That first one was kind of that bent over squat. I want you to angle now over. I'm going to angle to my left, your right. And guess what? When I do that, yes, I've now put more tension, more pressure on just my left glute, your right glute, okay? Same thing here happens. Now, your body might say, oh, this is awkward. I'm not sure about this. Remember, you got support. You got the wall. Because what you want to do here is still push those hips back and come up, okay? You don't want to just dancing right here. All right, the knees going forward, and the knees after a while will say no. So I want to think of that hip that's got the greater contact with the mobility wall. Push it in, drive it back, and come back up. Just like a full roll, you know, you kind of roll to the side a little bit, like I'm just going to get cheeky on one side. That's what I want to do here, okay? And again, give me that hip action. Throw the hips back, drive them up. And again, I can play with this. Notice I'm kind of turning my torso towards you, but my knees, my hips are still staying in this direction. Now I'm going to go a little bit more to this side. And again, I can hang on the wall. I can find the sweet spot today. Add some shear force. Woo, right? Yeah. But wait, I got more. Walk it back, come up to more standing. Let's focus on balance. Once again, if you're falling, I got it. I'm going to hang on to my mobility wall or on my doorway. I'm not angle my hips and knees over to the side, just a little bit more. This outside leg, I'm going to stand up. So the one that has no contact with the mobility wall, I'm going to hang on to it. Again, tuck the hips under just slightly, because I'm lifting that inside leg. Yeah, I got support here. I got support here. All right, so now I'm going to press back, change the angle a little bit. Yeah. Now, this inside leg, I'm just going to hang down. And now as I roll, Now here's the other thing, I don't have to roll, I can just kind of start moving that leg around. Roll it in, roll across, come up. Whoa. I can add a little bit of pressure, like more pressure into the mobility wall as I pull with my arm into that door frame. Or I might say, hey, how can I do this? Do I need to hang on? No, but sloppy. I'm gonna hang on. Right? Yeah. Nice. Build some strength in that upper shoulder. There you go. Yeah, let's kind of move it on. Woo, on the hot spot. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, guess what? Yeah, this other leg's going, oh, can I switch? Absolutely. Turn it on over. Okay? And even before we go there, if you stop for a moment, you're like, yep, my glutes feel different. So that's, they walk around with that different level of tension all day long. All right, so here we go. I angled it to the side. I got both feet on the ground. Okay? And now once again, remember, I'm going to shoot those hips back and then scoop them up. Right? Shoot them back and up. Because this is really easy. Once again, I'm just hopping around here. No, put them back. Ooh, I'm going to change this around. Remember, your hips kind of look the same. Left side looks like right side. But guess what? The tension is different. Holy cow. And even movement patterns. One side feels great. I got it. The other side's kind of awkward. I'm kind of moving around a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So now, for the sixth time here, I'm going to go to that single leg balance. Did you see? I didn't even flinch. Find me that wall. Okay. Because I'm going to hold on that single leg balance. My outside leg. Lift it up this other leg now. I'm going to do the same thing. Drive that hip back. I can even lift it up a little bit more and turn around a little bit. Or I can just stay here and kind of rotate that leg and the hip socket in and out. Let me come over here and find something. Play with this. Find that tension. We all store tension in different places in our muscles. Movement patterns. There you go. Yeah. Woo. Remember, if you want to practice here, I don't need to hang on. I really lost my focus because now I don't want to fall down. Okay, so please use your door frame. You'd be surprised what's going on here in your upper body. Maybe a little chest stretch. Maybe you're actually strengthening the back side of the shoulder, rotator cuff muscles, helping with the posture, especially if after this video you're going back to the desk and you're doing this again. So this is some really good work to do. All right. All right, sounds good. So we've kind of had this like regular bent over kind of squat. We've angled that squat. So we got two exercises. And then we went to the side single leg squat, lifting that inside leg. But we have more. Okay? I'm going to introduce a yoga block. Got one? Yoga block, rolled towel, your shoe. What? Why are we incorporating this? To change the angle. Number one. Okay, because when you were moving before, I didn't pay attention to your feet, okay? I didn't really care if they had a slight turnout, which I'm kind of demonstrating here, or if they were trying to turn straight ahead. And again, I know you see my thighs, you see the knees a little bit. Knees should always go the direction of your toes when you do a squat. So there's no right or wrong. You got to work, do with what's good for you. But if you still got those good knees, you got to play with those different angles, okay? And so this angle has more of a parallel alignment with your legs. Now, why this yoga block? What are we doing with this? Muscles work in pairs, okay? So if you've got one muscle that's contracting, it creates a stretch in the other muscle, okay? And then vice versa. If I bend my elbow, my bicep contracts. My tricep does not, it actually stretches, okay? If I start to do the reverse, if I straighten my elbow, guess what? Tricep contracts, bicep stretches, all right? That being said, because we're working back into this hip area, I'm going to take this yoga block and place it at about my knees, okay? And I'm just going to lightly hold it there, okay? That's it. Now, what I've already done is I've turned on these inner hip muscles known as the adductor muscles. There's 5 of them. They add your knees together. They're kind of, they bring your body together, okay? Adductor muscles. These muscles, not only are they tight, they generally are weak. They're neglected muscles. We need to strengthen these muscles. We get injuries for a reason, overuse. And you know what? You're like, yeah, I am going to overuse my muscles because I'm a runner, I'm a cyclist, I'm a CrossFitter. That's my jam and I'm going to do it, okay? Not a problem. When muscles work in pairs, if something is too weak and not pulling their weight in that pair, the other muscle is going to do the work for you. bit stronger and to contract. It's going to send a message to the opposing muscle group, the outer hip muscles, and you need to relax. Good, because we're supporting you left and right, every movement, and we could just love you would do your work here, okay? Case in point, if I take this out and squeeze my knees together, you might notice, wow, I felt a stretch out here. Exactly. This can only contract so much, but again, the position changed, the contraction increased just enough where I felt more of a stretch, okay? So I'm putting that lock back there. All right, remember that hip hinging? Shoulders back over the hip? No, not here. Contract those abs, get that hip hinge. So remember, I brought my chest forward. Find that position, that foot position that works for you. What am I going to do? I'm going to drive those hips down and into the mobility wall, and then come back up. Push it back. So as you can see, my chest stays forward of the door frame, and now I'm just going to roll, okay? Now what you noticed here, if you had your legs turned out slightly, you were getting a different point on your glutes. Now, with your knees and toes straight ahead, we change that hip position, and guess what? It might feel a little bit different. Or you go, I don't feel anything but holding this silly block. You are correct, because you know what? There's no tension back there. You already rolled it out. Okay, that is no hot spot. But at the same time, you were working those inner thigh muscles, okay, inner hip muscles, but your legs are going, she wasn't kidding. I didn't know it was strength day. Strength and stretch. Remember, we're integrating this, okay? So that's where if you got a block, use it. Why not? All right, sound good with that? All right, again, move those legs around. Want that blood flow to come in. We got more. We're adding on even more. We have another movement that your hips need to do. Actually, it's more of a movement your pelvis should do. It's called pelvic rotation. No, not a big word, not a foreign word, but something that your hips should do every single time. They need to rotate. Okay? If your hips don't rotate, guess what? Your low back does and your spine, and guess what? It over rotates. Back to that compensation. Everybody's got to do their job, whether it's 60% or 40%, okay? All right, so what we're going to do here is go back into your mobility wall. I'm going to just kind of just sit down there in that squat position for now. The glutes are in contact with the mobility wall. And here's what the difference is. And I'm starting it here to show you because your hips, your glutes are touching something. They're touching that mobility wall. And this is what's called tactile learning, that sense of touch. You go, I get it. Because I'm going to show you the other version in just a moment. All right, so with my right leg, your left, what I'm going to do is just drive that right leg, that right glute back into the mobility wall. Remember, you're on your left side. Yep, it caused my knee to straighten, but I didn't tell. The knee was not in control. This hip, this glute was. And then I'm going to come back down. Okay, let's try it on the other side. My left leg, your right. I'm going to drive that hip in the mobility wall, and yep, my knee will straighten a little bit, and then I'm going to come back down. Okay, the key here is got to lead with that hip, because I can straighten my knee, and I just kind of come up. But when I drive that hip back, that's what we're looking for, okay? Really quick, play with it a little bit on each side. Yep, a little bit of single leg squat here that you kind of feel how your one leg really takes over, and that pressure pulls back. All right, come away from your mobility wall for a moment. Yep, move around. What we're doing here, now I did that for purposes of tactile, touch, sensation, awareness. If I were to do that same thing, I'm going to show you from different angles here. So if I'm here in that hip hinge position that we found out earlier, and all I'm going to do is push that hip back. Yep, my knee kind of straight. You can see how my thighs look a little different here. I didn't touch anything back there, so you're like in space, moving around. Like, did I do it right? Right? So it's like, boom. Ready? And I came back down, and now that left side, boom, boom, okay? Yeah, I'm doing this on camera. You're doing this at home. Nobody's watching you, so you get to practice. If I did it from this front view, I'm gonna move my arms. Back, back, okay? If I go from this angle, once again, I'm getting closer here, okay? Yeah. Now again, some of you are still saying, my hips don't move like that. Why do my hips need to move like that? As we said before, the spinal rotation issue. However, any golfers watching this right now, you play golf. You know what I'm talking about. You know when you come into that swing, that hip better go with you, because if you just try to swing from your spine, yeah, a very short-lived golf experience. So you kind of need this motion, okay? Yeah, your hips need it. And you see how those legs start to work a little bit? The more movement you have, the more mobility you keep then, okay? Those muscles don't get tight. All right, so let that on. Yeah, I got more for you, okay? So that pelvic rotation, okay? So I am down here. I push those hips back. Notice how my chest is forward, abs are engaged. Good. And again, if you're looking up at a screen, you can either lower it down or don't hesitate to tuck that chin for a moment and say, try to give that neck a rest, okay? Always focus on that good alignment, all right? All right, so here I go. I'm going to use my right leg, your left. Drive that hip back into the roller and come back down, all right? Sound good? Again, we can do it one more time. Just focusing on that one side. All right, now here is the add-on. You ready? So I am going to press that hip down and back, control it there. I'm going to take my right hand, your left, find my door frame. I'm going to take a big inhale to make sure my spine stays nice and extended. And as I exhale, I'm going to tighten the abdominals first and enjoy a very deep spine twist. What do you think? Whoa, take another breath there. Inhale. And exhale. Let your body kind of melt into that stretch. Was there a little bit more movement in your spine? Maybe. Yeah, one more. Feel and release. Come with some mobility wall for a moment. Wow. It's something kind of hopefully gently saying hello here. Here's the scoop. Because we could anchor that hip in a position, we then got to change the angle of that spinal stretch. If my hip was stuck here and I let that spinal stretch, and I'm kind of stuck there. But because I could anchor this here, hold it, and I had the support then of the upper body, the deepness. Now again, it might have been too intense at first. That's why I said, remember? Okay, my hands really don't leave that fist position, but you can feel that tension when you just exhale. Let's try it on the other side, okay? All right, so get on down and back. Ooh, all right, so my left leg, your right, okay? Press down and back into the roller. All right, so now again, I'm gonna lead with that hip. Push that hip into the roller, come on up. Yep, the knee straighten. Pause it there. Let's repeat that 2 more times. You kind of got that hip action. Remember your retention. Yeah, good. All right, ready? Now stay here. My left hand, your right. Find that door frame. Inhale, so you got a good spinal extension. Exhale, tighten those abdominals and just let that air out. Good. Take another breath here. Inhale. And exhale. Go one more. The more you relax, the more movement you find. Excellent. Let's let this go. Head up to center. Exhale down and then push away. What do you think? Yeah. Yeah. So again, even though our focus is centered on the hips today, there's a lot of action going on here and a lot of action going on down, okay? Yeah, so we've covered a regular squat, okay? We angled that squat, that bent over. I'm going to call them bent over squats, as I call it, okay? We angled it. We focused on a single leg. We used that block, that yoga block, okay? Now we play a little bit, that pelvic rotation. I showed you how to use this. It's some good stuff. Yes. Okay. So again, I'm talking about that integration, right? That stretching doesn't have to be at the end. We can build it into your workout. So you do. That's the goal of this one. Okay. All right. So now we're going to move the mobility wall a little bit. So again, you get done with your elliptical, your run, you've got it here. You can come in and quickly do your rolling, your work, okay, all kinds of great things. You've seen our little videos on the app, on the website. Watch them as well. I'm just trying to give you just a little bit of spin, extra ideas that you go, hey, I'm kind of excited about this thing. Okay. All right. So we're going to roll it down. Now, where we're going to roll it down to kind of give you an idea of where to adjust your roller is, we're going to work this inner hip area right here. Okay. So we want that roller to be above that knee, but not too high into the thigh yet. Okay. So right here, What we don't want it is on the knee, okay? Because when we bend it on that knee right there, there's nothing happening, and there's more tougher tissue, bone, ligaments, we want to work with that fleshy stuff. Fleshy is a good thing, okay? So about right here. So we're going to mobility walk, drop it down. Okay, awesome. Okay. Now, how do I know where I'm going with my mobility walk? Oops, let me make sure. I actually cheat a little bit. Like, how does she cheat? Okay. I don't have small people or small pets in my house. This is my house. See this? Little sticky tabs. Okay. I've taken these little sticky tabs and actually put them in my door frame. Okay. So you got one right here. Okay. And I got the other one down there. So it's something temporary, semi-permanent. So that way, guess what? I know where my mobility wall is going, and I don't have to mess with, oh, where's my adjustments, okay? So kind of gets you in that ballpark area. That's my little cheat sheet. Now, I'm also going to share this with you, too. You got shoes on, that makes a difference. Your shoe is going to give you about an inch of height. You decide, oh, I'm going to use my mobility wall barefoot. That's going to change it. So when you put your body in the mobility wall, you go, it doesn't fit right today. That is why. Okay, so there's some quick adjustments to make, no big deal. But again, it's kind of like me, like, come on, get in, let's get it done. I gotta go. You know, that's my cheating home hint for you, a little, what we call them, hack. Okay, all right. So now I want to work the inner hip area. Okay, again, there's these muscles right here, and they are so important. I'm going to pause for a moment here. I'll save that little discussion as we go into the first movement. Okay? All right. So what you need to do is step over your mobility wall. But hey, don't worry about it. I got a door frame to hang on to. So whether you want to lift that leg up and over, or you're going to swing it around like you're getting on a pony. Okay? Yeah, I'm straddling my mobility wall. Okay? And here's why I'm doing this. Oftentimes, we have a different sensitivity level when it comes to the pressure in our muscles. You know, there are certain days. Again, if you ran a half marathon, a marathon, after a heavy squat day, you just touch your muscles and it's going, ow, okay? These inner hip muscles can be that same way. What I want to do here is not necessarily desensitize them, but getting used to that pressure. So all I'm doing is literally straddling my mobility wall and little squeezes. Little squeezes. I can't even like exaggerate unless I use my glutes here. Just small little squeezes and release. Okay. What I'm doing is trying to get that muscle to relax. Because after a muscle contracts, guess what? It likes to relax kind of a lot. All right. Now I squeeze again. And after a while, that sensation is going to start to minimize. It might never go away. Okay. But just little squeezes. I mean, if you want to bring your legs together, squeeze a little bit more, that's great. But that's really what you're doing here. Just give me those little squeezes. Okay? Now, back to the mobility wall apps. Yep, I keep referring to them. They show like a side balance where you're kind of rolling like this. That's great, but I'd like to introduce this small one here first so your muscles feel a little bit more successful. Now, if you want, then kind of walk out a little bit, put a tiny little squat in there and do that same thing. And just give a little squeezes. I change the angle. I'm going to change those points then, that contact point with the mobility wall. And it's going to make a difference because suddenly I go, oh, wait a minute. Okay? All right. So as I was saying earlier, your muscles, they're just not like two lines. Okay? Take a moment here. Yeah, I'll let you rest for a moment here. Your thigh, your leg is like this yoga block. There are four sides to it. You got a front, you got a back, you got an outside, you got an inside. Plus, there's several muscles here. Your quadricep muscles, quad, four, right? You got four there. You got hamstring muscles. You got a couple of them in the back. You got those 5 adductor muscles on the inside. And yes, you got some outer hip muscles, but they're not as clear cut as those inner hip muscles. They're more up here. Then you got something called that IT band that comes down here. Yeah. Okay. You got to think of your muscles in this dimensional aspect, not the front and back, just not interrupt. They all work together. Now, why this is important is because now with this next movement, what I want you to do, I just lean into that mobility wall, there's that tension on that inner hip area. But now I can start, I'm going to lift that heel to allow my hip to move a little bit, I can kind of roll into that mobility wall a little bit, feel that shear force, and roll back. I just kind of roll around a little bit. Now, play with that foot position. There are no standardized footprints on the floor. What does that mean? You put your feet wherever you want. Now I'm going to go this way a little bit. All right? Because on the front of my leg, on that inner hip area, here's your quadricep on the inside. Here's your quadricep on the outside. Okay? There's your hamstring. You got the lateral portion of your medial portion of your hamstring, the lateral portion. You just kind of move around. I'm just going to move around a little bit. Okay? Again, I can hang on to my wall frame for balance, but I can also add that little bit more pressure. I really want to be in control here and get rid of that tight spot. I'm going to use this wall and kind of pull myself into it as I push my body in that mobility wall. And then I come over on this side too. Okay. Now, again, as I'm doing this, once again, that safety precaution, I am working this front leg, and it is still on the front side of my mobility wall. Okay, this other leg is just back here for giggles. It's a kickstand, okay? Like on a bike, yeah, kickstand gives you support, but don't lean into it too much. So I'm still on this side, okay? Now, I know what you may be thinking, well, can I just press with this leg? I'm not giving you an answer on that one. That's your choice. But for safety, I'm going to say I want to press on this leg that stays on the same side of my mobility wall bracket. Okay? All good? All right. One more. So remember you were straddling? All I want you to do now, and I'm going to kind of demonstrate, I'm going to kind of stagger this leg a little bit so you can see this back leg. Typically, my legs are tandem, okay, next to each other. I'm going to stride them slightly. What I'm going to do with this leg that's back here, I'm just going to step into my doorway. Did you notice what happened the minute I did that? Suddenly the pressure really kicked it up a notch on the inner thigh of that working leg, that front leg. Yeah, now step back. The minute I take a side step into my door frame, whoa, boy, did that tension really keep up, okay? Now, what's interesting when you do this, if I do this in slow motion, and again, the camera angle's not that best, to move my leg out towards the side, my body is moving in towards the camera. I'm balancing over that stable leg so I can lift up, shift balance, and then adjust back. That's that example where we kind of have to go off center, just get a little crooked, wonky to find balance. Welcome to your wall. Welcome to your door frame. So guess what? If I keep my arms here, or maybe I'm just going to use this arm, I literally can step my leg into the doorway. This side of my body is not flinched. Comparatively speaking, here we go again. Ready? There's this little bit of wobbling. So I can use both arms or same arm, same leg I'm standing on. Reach out and bring it back in. Talk about stability through this whole side of your body. Wow. Huh? Yeah. You ever done side planks? You ever do those full planks where they want you to like lift up an arm and a leg and you fall over? Here we go. We're practicing that in the upright position with a lesser risk of falling. Sounds great. Okay. All right. So what we had here, just a straddle hold. Okay, that's it. Now we have a step to the side. I call it a step into the door. Okay. We're not going to step away. And now here's our third one in this sequence. All right. So as I said earlier, we talked about how you can do this one from the app. I'm going to do that, but I'm going to back it up a little bit. I want you to start in a side lunge position. Okay? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my thighs a little bit more. Okay? So this front leg, I'm going to exaggerate. See that knee straight. I'm going to press my hips back. The back knee back here, the supporting leg is bent. Okay? Now, from this position, I've got that inner hip contact with the mobility wall. I got to use my wall here. I got to use this door frame. So I'll show you later on what happens when you don't. All right? All right, ready? I'm going to press into that mobility wall, and I'm going to try to pull myself up, and then roll back down and let myself catch. Let that foot land on the floor. So I don't have to worry about balancing the entire time on one leg as I'm rolling out the other one. Okay, so what we got? I've got that bend in the hip, and you can always move your body around so you've got adequate space for you. Press into that foam roller, pull yourself up, roll it back down. I'll be honest with you, I'm coming up quick, but boy, my lowering is fun. Remember, got a break. Into the mobility wall. Okay, ready? Pull myself up and land back down. So I actually pause in between. Do I have to pause in between? No. But here's the deal. When I paused, when I got that low, I actually got a little higher into that adductor area. If I kept it here, guess what? I'm kind of just staying in this little area here. So I let it all the way come down and all the way come up. And once again, while I'm here, I can rotate in a little bit or not. Very subtle movement. The warrior muscles might say, wow, hello. All right. All right. Guess what? We got to go the other leg. So whatever's easier for you to step over that mobility wall, if you're all the way correct around, go all the way around. All right, we're on the other side. You feel the difference in your hips? Yeah, one hip is like, whoa. Again, stretch them out as may be. So, and again, moving a little bit quicker here because we've reviewed this side. Our first exercise is, we'll just call it the inner hip stand. Give it a name, right? Give it a name. And all I do is just give those light squeezes. And what's interesting, the leg closest to the camera, this is the one that should be doing the work. So if you were to close your eyes for a moment and really feel what's going on with both those inner hips, you might find that domineering leg, that one we just worked, is taking over. You might have to tell the other leg, hey, I need you to contract a little bit more. I need you to up your game a little bit more, right? I want to feel like that tension is equal as I apply that pressure, right? Yeah, okay. And once again, I want to do more of a little squat here, okay? Just kind of like I was squeezing into that yoga block, okay? Again, I know, not an exercise you want to you do for the world to see, but remember on the foam roller, that like kind of Spider-Man, you land and kind of do this? I'm sorry about that graphic there. You're like, I am not doing that in the gym, okay? All right, so now, here's our step in adductor. Step in and come back. Step in and come back. So again, remember, the working leg is on the same side as that mobility roll. Step in and come back. Yeah, and honestly, if you do this again, you get your eyes are closed. That allows your body to really tune in how this movement occurs. I can feel how I kind of have to throw my upper body towards the camera so I can take my leg in the opposite direction, and then I kind of recover in the center. Or, once again, I'm just going to, again, whatever works for you, maybe you want to stand closer. I'm just going to close my eyes, shoulders down and back, relax. A little bit of pressure into my door frame. All right, stabilize, contract that inner hip area, and I go up. Okay, or again, is my body cheating? Because also I felt my hip kind of like, I know this developmental delay. That's how smart your body is, figures it out and doesn't ask for permission. So when I hang on like this, okay, again, eyes are open or closed because you're not going to fall, you're completely hanging on, but you can see the difference in those muscles. Okay, again, a lot of knee issues. The weakness that happens with that inside of the knee, okay? We're adding some technically isometric contraction, that's all it is. But it's enough to, hey, muscle, wake on up, all right? Here we go, okay? And again, that was a step in. So remember, you squeeze, you step in. And now, again, I like to back it up so I can remember to keep my hips bent. Let me visit that position first. Remember, I'm going to do this. I'm standing in the door frame, and this leg stays off the floor and do that rolling, okay? So I'm going to come into that side lunge position. I'm side lunging into the door frame, okay? Move my body around a little bit. I'm going to find the door really quick because I'm going to press in and I'm trying to shift my body weight up to the other leg, all right? And now reach that leg out as it goes down to the floor. And now you can tell because you lowered your body a little bit. That's on a new pressure point, right? Pressing into the roller, pulling yourself up, hips back as you come back down. Okay, so not bringing forward, so keep the hips back, up and down. Okay, again, you do a couple reps and you're like, okay, I only need one arm to pull myself up. Again, can I do it with no arms? I can do it, it's not gonna be pretty, okay? Ready? I am so focused now on shifting body position, I missed the stretch. I missed that pressure point sensation. So don't hesitate to use the arm. Once again, keep the shoulder down. Again, you're building some isometric strength there with upper posture muscles. And there's that. Okay, remember that shear force? Roll in a little bit. You wrap the body. I'm going to roll back to this side a little bit. I want to come up toes, or keep the heel lifted to get more pivoting action from that hip. I can go down a little bit lower. I can come up a little bit and just move around. Yes. How was that? Awesome, right? All right. Again, hang on to your mobility wall as you step up and over. Or again, if you're at this point, you're like, if I listen my leg up, it's not going to happen. Unroll it, drop it down. Okay? There. What do you think? Hopefully giving you a lot of great ideas that you can put together. So again, we had that bent over action. But let's visit that real quick. Let's see if those hamstrings are still talking. Remember our hip hinge where we started? Yeah, that was a little pre-assessment. All right, so now when I stand like this and bend, what'd you hear? I didn't hear anything. It's like my hamstrings are on vacation. How about that? Yeah. Now, think about that. If I can get this effective bend over position, think of how awesome my upper body rows, my reverse flies are going to be. Maybe I can even get deeper into that bent over position. Okay? Changing those angles. That's what we're looking at. What you might have not noticed too is, again, I didn't draw attention. There's so many details. We don't want to overload you. I could have had my legs turned wide and moved knees and toes turned out as I was doing this. But now that these inner hip muscles are turned on, they're like, what? We're here. That when you went to bend over, you literally put your feet right here. And you're like, no, we're so used to doing this and coming back up. Yeah, but again, it changes everything from the toes to the top. Lots of options, okay? Wow. I would love to hear some of your questions, comments. If you got them, you can email Chris at Mobility Wall. Sorry, Chris. And so I can follow up with you, because if we'd have done this in the live version, I would have stopped and responded to you right away. I am very interested in what you have to hear, applying some of this stuff. Like I said, safety is always number one. You got shoes on, you got non-skid surface, barefoot, socks, caution, caution. You got the great frame to use. Use it, because those little details matter. Those little angle changes matter, okay? Strengthening those small muscles, it matters, okay? Your mobility wall, again, I gave you a little hack. You put a little tape mark on your door frame. You're in control. So if you purchase one that's got these nuggies, don't be afraid, because you are in control of that. Okay, and if you bought the smoother roller, no big deal. Kind of showed you how if I can use my upper body, I can actually pull and create even more tension in that, right? It's about strength as well as stretching, okay? I really believe in mobility wall. You can't go wrong. I use mine all the time, and I have to admit, when it's displayed, people go, yeah, what's that new toy you got there, Marsha? Let me tell you about it, okay? And I know it makes a difference, okay? When we wake up and our body's tight and we're feeling discomfort, it all starts to go up to here, and then we're really not maybe the best we can be. I want you to be at your potential. I want you to be able to continue what you love to do, what puts a smile on your face, what makes you happy from your heart, right? So again, thank you for your time today. Thank you for your energy, your listening, your patience. Play around with your mobility wall if you got it. If you don't, again, please reach out. Just follow us on Facebook, the YouTube channel, download the app. We love to hear from you. We're here to support you. And again, we're all about giving you that value, answering your questions. And I believe you can even do some private sessions with Chris, which hands down are worth it. All right, with that being said, again, go forth, stay healthy, be well. Thank you.